JavaScript. All the cool kids are doing it. Why is JavaScript so popular? What can you do with it? When the internet boomed in the 1990s, technology company battled to build the most powerful and efficient web browser on the market. This sparked the first browser war between Microsoft Internet Explorer and Netscape. Netscape navigated to gain dominance in the usage share of the web browser. Netscape needed a lightweight scripting language for easier programming, which ultimately made web development more accessible. Unlike other languages that required deeper training in 1995, a Netscape employee, Brendan H., was given 10 days to help build the company a lightweight scripting language. As a result, Ek built Mocha, which was later renamed JavaScript. The moral of the story: JavaScript was never intended to become the standard language for the web. However, as Netscape won the browser war, the popularity of JavaScript grew. More and more sites began using JavaScript, and those that didn't eventually had to, as most developers use JavaScript to make websites. JavaScript is now an essential web technology that's supported by major web browsers. The language is crucial for anyone who wants to become a web developer. Many experts agree that JavaScript will continue to grow as an indispensable language for web development. JavaScript in the web. JavaScript, also called JS, is a flexible and powerful language that is implemented consistently by various web browsers, making a language for web development. JavaScript, HTML, and CSS are the core components of web technology. While HTML is responsible for the structure and the CSS is responsible for the style, JavaScript provides interactivity to web pages in the browser. Popularity of JavaScript. At this point, you may be wondering how it is that a language written in 10 days by one guy become became more become became mass adopted by the World Wide Web. In short, JavaScript became a hit because it turned web browsers into application platforms. Here's how. JavaScript can be used in both the front end and the back end of the web development. JavaScript is standardized, so it's frequently updated with new versions. JavaScript integrates easily with HTML and CSS. JavaScript allows websites to have interactivity like scroll transitions and object movement. Modern browsers still compete to process JavaScript, the fastest for the best experiences. Chrome, the most used browser in 2017, has been so successful because of its ability to process JavaScript quickly. JavaScript offers a wide range of frameworks and libraries that help developers create complex applications with low overhead. Programmers can import libraries and frameworks in the code to augment their application functionality. JavaScript for servers. In the early 2000s, big platforms like Facebook and Google began using JavaScript in their back-end server logic to process and respond to front-end requests. JavaScript helped business scale since engineers knew JavaScript could apply to those in a back-end context. JavaScript used for servers, although not server-side. JavaScript gained popularity because it allowed for scalability in the server. JavaScript can be integrated with other languages to communicate with the database. Node.js or Node is one of the most popular versions of the server-side JavaScript. Node has been used to write large programs for NASA, eBay, and many others. Since JavaScript can execute programs out of sequential order, Node can be used to create scalable web applications, messaging platforms, and multiplayer games. This is why Google Cloud and Amazon Web Services depend on Node for some of their servers. What else can JavaScript do? Beyond the web, JavaScript is a large presence amongst cross-platform applications. We use them probably as standalone desktop like Slack, GitHub, Skype, and Tidal. These applications have developed with JavaScript framework called Electron.js. Electron is excellent for making web desktop applications that need to work across different devices regardless of operating system. In addition to JavaScript, the potential of expanding into other innovative technologies such as virtual reality and gaming. JavaScript can be used for animating, rendering, and scaling. JavaScript even has contributed to the Internet of Things, the technology that makes simple objects like your fridge smarter. Everyday devices become interactive and collect data using JavaScript. Live conclusion: when diving into other programming or web development, JavaScript is an excellent language to learn. The capabilities of JavaScript allows you to use it in many different fields. Mastering what is known as vanilla or plain JavaScript will help you tackle more complicated frameworks and libraries to make you a competitive developer. Take some of the Codecademy JavaScript courses to become the JavaScript rockstar.